everyone, it's Ruthie, and I'm here with another video. Yay! I recently beat Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines on stream, so I wanted to talk about it. I really don't need an excuse to make a video, but there's my excuse. If you wanted to watch me play Vampire the Masquerades, I'm going to be uploading it to my archive channel. The first stream will be up whenever this video is up. Look at that! Before I get started, I will go ahead and get this stuff out of the way. If you plan on playing Vampire the Masquerade, or streaming, or recording it, you're going to need a little bit of prep beforehand. You're going to need the fan patch 10.3. At least that's the version I played, so fan patch. I'll go ahead and put a link of that in the description. If you want to stream it to where it'll look nice, I would recommend that you change the resolution to 1920 by 1080. Because if not, it's like super small. Other than that, there's not much other things that you need to actually stream or record it. Other than when you're streaming it on Twitch, you're going to have to make sure that you put it under Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, because they do have just Vampire the Masquerade in Twitch. And that's the board game, which this game is based on, but is not the game you need to put for Twitch. So make sure you do that, because I was streaming under the wrong category for all of my streams except the last one, so I am a professional, I know. If you want to play the game yourself before you hear any of the spoiler stuff, this is my opinion of it. My spoiler-free opinion of this game is that this is the best game that could have been great game I've ever played. Yep, isn't that a weird sentence to say? Anything from this point on is going to be spoilers for the entirety of the game. So, Vampires does have something that's similar to a character select screen, except that it's not really character selection. It is selecting your vampire clan along with dealing with some of your stats, which is cool. I recommend that you dump a lot of stats into guns, though, and melee. Don't forget to do that. Combat in this game is not exactly all that fantastic, and the guns, for me at least, was a lot easier to use. There are 7 vampire clans that you could choose. I chose the worst one for me, and I still really enjoyed this game, so I don't know if that says anything. That's right, I was the insane one, the Malkavian. If you don't know what the Malkavians are whenever you become embraced, which is when you become a vampire, your sire, which is the person who made you into a vampire, gives you the insane disease. That is the Malkavians. You will hear voices. You will hear the same voices say the same lines over and over and over again until you go insane yourself. We named the voices Helen, Walter, and Henry. If you played Malkavian and you named your voices, could you tell me what you named yours? Were they as basic as mine? It was basically voted upon on stream to do Malkavian, since that one is the insane vampire. So, I don't really like the playing as a Malkavian. I don't think it was the right class for me to play, especially since I'm kind of a run-in, guns a-blazing kind of person, which is kind of how I played the entire time, and it didn't really work well for me a lot. On top of that, Malkavians have like the worst clothes ever. Some people might say it's the best clothes because they chose a woman. We were able to see her butt the entire time, and I wasn't down for that. Not that I don't enjoy seeing butts, but I would have rathered clothes that didn't just show her butt the entire time. Like, I don't mind having the option of having clothes that would show the butt, but I didn't like that it showed the butt the entire time. Now that you know what classes I chose and the fact that the Malkavians are batshit insane, I do want to put a note here for you people who are planning to play the game or have played the game or want to know my opinion of the game. The Malkavians are like the best example of how much the developers really cared about the game, I think, and are also the best example of how much they didn't have time to really flesh out the best character, I think. The Malkavians, apparently, I haven't played as the other vampires, but Malkavians get a fancy, weird, fucky font. That's the font for everything in the entire game for the Malkavians, which means they had to rewrite all of the text in the game for this one class, this one clan of vampire that someone may not even get to play, which is fucking nuts to me. On top of that, there are specific lines apparently where it points out that you're a Malkavian, and because you're spooky and no one likes to deal with a Malkavian because we're insane and we talk in riddles. On the other hand, the Malkavians, you do listen to voices, but they do only say about a few lines throughout the entire game. And I swear to God, I started hearing these lines just in my sleep. Maggots love you. Trust me. Anyway, let's go ahead and zoom through this story so that way you can hear about what the fuck happens in Vampire Masquerade if you didn't know, and how great the story is. And we're gonna open up our game, and the first shot is going to be of us, I guess, became a vampire by somebody we had done the sexies with, and then immediately we get stakes thrown into our hearts, and we don't die because apparently stakes are just like tranquilizer darts for vampires. After we are captured by some brutish looking vampiroos, we are now in front of a huge, I wouldn't say huge, but an audience of vampiroos, and there's our person, there's our sire, and there's us. And there's a guy named the Jester, and one of my favorite characters, the Sheriff. The Sheriff says nothing. He just stands there and looks intimidating. Best character ever. The Jester is actually named the Prince. His name is actually Prince LaCroix, but when I talk about him as a Malkavian, I called him the Jester. So he eventually went from the Prince to the Jester in my head. So if I say the Jester, I really mean the Prince LaCroix. Hopefully I'm not confusing you, because don't worry, it doesn't really get confusing, actually. The story is kind of straightforward. The Jester has says, "Oh my god, you turned this person into a vampire without permission? I'm going to chop off your extremely long neck." And then right before he chops off our extremely not long neck, a guy named Nines Rodriguez says, "You can't do that. She did nothing wrong. It's not like she chose to be a vampire. It just kinda happened." The Jester turns us around and was like, "I wasn't gonna kill her. What do you take me for? Heartless?" Yeah, I do. So we end up not dying, and instead we turn into the frickin' prince's fucking servant dog. Then we learn about the Uncarn sarcophagus from our sweet prince. And he's like, "Hey, you should go see about that sarcophagus." And we're like, "But why though, dear Jester?" He's like, "Well, you see, an ancient vampire could totally be in this coffin. And ancient vampires, if they wake up, because they get to sleep for a long time, if they wake up, the end of the world happens. So we're gonna get the sarcophagus and not open it up." Seems legit. Obviously, we trust that he's not going to do anything with the sarcophagus to, like, further his try to power. Did I explain the power structure of vampires? Hold up a minute. Pause. The vampire government is called the Camarilla. But the Camarilla they don't, like, rule everywhere. The Camarilla only, I guess, rule where they are. There are free states, and California isn't a free state. We live in Los Angeles right now, and that used to be run only by another subsection of vampires called the Anarchs, and their leaders are called Barons. So you have the Camarilla and the Anarchs, and they don't like each other. Also, there's the Quajin right there. So we go aboard a ship, and then we go and see, and it's like, oh no, look, the sarcophagus. We'll steal it from the museum. And then a hop, skip, and a cutscene away, we go to the museum, and we find out that someone stole the sarcophagus, and we need to figure out who it is. Time to get our Scooby-Doo caps on, because we're going on a mystery, gang. And then the rest of the game is trying to figure out who has the sarcophagus and where it's at. Because dear old Jester guy is really upset that he doesn't get to have his vampire buddy, Mummy, his he's just upset all the time. He screams a lot. You meet a lot of really cool, wacky characters along the way, like Teresa and Jeanette, who are the same person, but they're pretending to be two different people. And then in the mission that they have, you can have one of them kills the other. So you get to choose between Teresa or Jeanette. Well, that was fun. You meet Jack and his amazing beard physics, who, by the way, is actually my favorite character in the game. You meet the Baron of Hollywood and his pet gargoyle, except like you have to do a quest in order for the gargoyle to be his friend, and I did that. I made the gargoyle his friend. You meet the guy that we called Nosfufu, except he's not a Nosferatu, which is a type of vampire, and he's also actually kind of spooky when you think about it. He kind of looks like a Cthulhu monster, or like when you think, like, whenever people turn into fish people, that's kind of like, he's got a little. You also meet Ming Zhao, I think her name is. She's a demon, I think. She's what's called a Quasian, and those are basically demons. You meet a guy named Mercutio. I kept calling him Mercutio, but I don't actually think that's how you say his name. But that's how I'm gonna say his name. He's cool. You meet a guy named Beckett who turns into a wolf. How great. You meet a couple of anarchs. I don't remember the name of the redhead one, but she's always angry. And then Helter Skelter, which I think his name is only Skelter, but you call him Helter Skelter if you're Malkavian, because we talk in riddles or something. One of my all-time favorite characters, the taxi driver, who is always conveniently where I need him to be, so he's my favorite. Some of the missions in this game are really good, and some of them are not, but we're going to be talking about the ones that are good. Specifically the hotel level. I kind of wish that I played this game back in 2004 and that the game wasn't a total wreck, which we'll get into that later. My favorite level in the game, I think, is the Ocean House Hotel. It's basically a haunted hotel where you, as a vampire, need to go get this amulet for Therese, so that way she can expel the spirits that are inside of the hotel, so she can use this hotel to be sold for hotel reasons, I'm sure. The level design in this is so awesome. There's a lot of creepy moments that I think that would have been way more effective in 2004 and not in 2019, where I literally play horror games for fun. The story of the hotel is fed to you in newspapers that you can find on the floor or on end tables or something like that. The like furniture and stuff are moving. They're like ejecting themselves at you. There's purple ghost fire. If I remember right, the general synopsis of this hotel was that there was a serial killer who was killing like children, and like I think it was just children, and like sticking them in really wacky places like the kitchen or like the washing machine or something. I don't know. He was a pretty wacky dude, but he used a fireman's axe as his weapon of choice. Eventually, with all of these murders, the hotel went on fire and then was so haunted that no one really wanted to do this hotel anymore. I've really enjoyed that level. It's pretty simple and it's something you really should play. I think it's definitely a level that's better experienced than like told about, but you know how it is. Another really good mission that I liked was actually the one between the Baron and the gargoyle that I think I mentioned earlier. The Baron tells you that there is a gargoyle in this like auditorium thing, convention center, a Japanese convention center. The Japanese convention center is pretty old and is overrun by Mr. Gargoyle Man, who was very upset at vampires. He actually really hates them, and I didn't know why for quite a while. I set out doing this quest thinking I really want to save this gargoyle guy. So I tried pretty much all of the dialogue options in order to like try to save him, and I ended up actually failing. But there is a separate mission where you need to find this wizard guy who's a vampire. He's a part of some magic vampire clan that's creepy. Who cares about him? Anyway, he actually made the gargoyle. So you wouldn't know the right things to say unless you talk to this guy who made the gargoyle. And then you can tell the gargoyle, hey, the Baron is fighting against the Camarilla, which your master is a part of. Because the gargoyle doesn't like his master. The master also really doesn't like the gargoyle and actually wants the gargoyle dead because apparently it would be like a disgrace on his clan or the Camarilla or something. There's quite a few quests that are kind of like interwoven like that, where other quests will give, if you do those quests, you will get the information to do better on a different quest. And you can still do those other quests, some of them, but it's better if you like do the other quest. The quest system is pretty nice. I like some of the quests. Some of the quests are really good. All of that I explained probably makes this game sound amazing. Perfect, even. Oh boy. Oh boy. This game is good. Remember when I said that this game is the best could have been great game I've ever played? I'm about to explain why. The story, most of the level design, the open-endedness, a lot of what you can choose to do. I wouldn't say choose your own adventure because you still end up doing quests and you do the same quests. The story kind of goes the same way. You get the same 5 endings, but it feels like your own personal experience being a vampire. They left a lot of choices and stuff with the story like that. Like, there's a lot of ways to approach a problem. You can go in guns a-blazing. You can go in super sneaky. You can explode people. You can never, it's really cool. But there are some problems, and I'm going to get with it with this next section. The gameplay of Vampire the Masquerade is... not all of it is the worst thing I've ever experienced. Let's start with some good things. I really like the character screen where you can choose your, you get experience as you do quests, and you get to use those experience in things like subterfuge, seduction, lockpicking, firearms, melee, dodging, all of these cool things. So whenever you use something that increases one of your skill points, like a blood buff or an item, because you can get items that increase your skills, it will add +2 to dexterity, which will bring up your lockpicking skill to +2, and then you might be able to lockpick things that you wouldn't be able to without any lockpicking. That actually leads into the next thing that I like, which is disciplines. Disciplines are special vampire and clan-based skills that you can get. Most vampires, from what I gather, I didn't actually check or research this, please correct me if I'm wrong though. Blood buff, which increases your perception and your dexterity and stuff, it's basically just a buff. Blood heal is another one. I think obstificate, which is invisibility, I think is another one. Malkavians get, and fortitude. Fortitude I think is another one that you can get. That's just like all around vampires. The Malkavian stuff is mass hallucination, which I never used, and then oh goodness, what was it called? Hold on. Veil of Madness. Veil of Madness. That's the other Malkavian one. There are other skills for other vampires, and I really don't know what they are, but invisibility is what I use. Invisibility and Veil of Madness is probably what I use the most, besides Blood Hill. Everybody knows that Blood Hill is what you would probably use. That actually brings me into the next thing, which is disciplines require blood. Yes, as a vampire, you actually have to go around and suck some blood from people, like freaking juice bags. You can actually go and eat rats too. They're like little Capri Suns for vampires. There's different tiers of people who give you different amounts of blood. You don't want to kill anybody. You don't want to suck anybody dry unless they're the bad guys. But hobos do not give you a lot of blood, and you will accidentally kill them because apparently every single hobo in the world is anemic. Gangsters, I think they're like gangsters. They're, criminals are like the next tier. Cops give you a lot, and then people with fancy clothes give you a hell of a lot. Whew. You can also go to the blood bank where you can buy blood bags. There's also blood bags throughout the world, and there are some elder blood bags that will refill all of your blood points. Huzzah! Another game mechanic is humanity, which is pretty much a good or evil system where if you kill if you kill an innocent, you lose a humanity. If you do a good thing or you dance for 10 minutes, you gain humanity. You suck out everyone's humanity through dance. I've been told that humanity does influence some things or some aspects of the end game. I don't know what it influences, but it does. So keep that in mind. Don't be a horrible person. I had full humanity. I had 10 humanity by the end of the game. And I actually at one point had 4 humanity. I went and danced at every club that I could and got every opportunity to do humanity, to get the humanity. I didn't know, like I'd have to look some stuff up, but I didn't know about the, some quests will give you humanity. I just thought homeless people came up to me and I gave them $10 every single time. Nope, not true. And next thing that you're going to be doing a lot of is sneaking, unless you, have a... I think the one that lets you, go in guns a-blazing is a Bruja, which is basically a brute. Ha! But you're going to be doing a lot of sneaking. Some things you kind of want to not really be, murdering 20,000 dudes while doing. I don't know. I ended up killing 20,000 dudes while doing everything. The sneaking system is a basic sneaking system where you just need to, crouch and be quiet. Not that complicated. The thing that really, really wrecks me in the game is the combat system, and it kind of wrecks everybody. You can tell that this is the point of the game where they were having to hurry it up. If you don't know the story about this game was released way too early because Activision wanted to compete with Half-Life 2. Well, they had a contract with Activision to have it done by Half-Life 2, which was a stupid thing if you ask anybody, even at the time. If I remember right, I think it's made on the Half-Life engine, Half-Life 1 or 2 engine. Vampire Masquerade is, I think it's Half-Life 2. The Impulse 101 engine. So there's some points in the game that start feeling pretty rushed, and I think the combat system is one that I think got kind of rushed because there is a groundwork for a really cool combat system where swords actually cut people and guns don't feel impossible to wield. If you ask me, you should probably stick a lot of your skill points into guns. Guns are really, really effective against humans, not so much against vampires. With vampires, you either need a katana or just fucking punch them with your bare fists. One of the bosses, I tried actually using a sword or something, and it ended up just being that I should have just punched him to death, because that's what I did. I just punched him to death. There's other things like aggregated damage that comes from pointy, sharp enemies where you need blood in order to actually fully heal from it. Or it takes 2 or 3 times as long to actually naturally heal from it. Yeah, it could have been a lot more complex, but it ends up just being really, really annoying because things are really, really, really badly balanced. The bosses especially are extremely either way too easy or way too hard, or you could tell it was rushed. This is also a great time to talk about the camera. You get to choose between 2 camera modes, third person and first person. Third person is whacking shit. If you are in first person, it will take you out of first person into third person to use your baseball bat or your severed arm or your katana to hit shit. And if you're in third person, it will take you into first person in order to use your shooty bang bangs like your Desert Eagle or your shotgun. To be honest, it didn't bother me that much, but I have heard from other people that they didn't like the camera and that it was extremely jarring. And I can see that. I can relate. Remember when I was praising the game of some of the level design? Ho Nelly, I'm also going to rip into the level design of some of the game. The last few levels of the game are where you can tell that they really were in crunch time. A lot of it's just copy-pasted sections and with a bunch of enemies. The game, for the most part, for about 90% of it, try to balance out sneaking, fighting, and talking. And they balance that out along with giving you a choice of how you want to go about a problem, along with just being all around pretty okay. But the last 10% of the game, the end game, which is what you're going to always hear, if you go watch another review of this game, people are always going to tell you about the end game. The end game for everyone just sucks. It's not just you, it's not just me, everyone agrees it sucks. Because it was rushed out and they didn't have time to finish. They didn't actually play test a lot of this game, I don't think. I don't know if it was because there wasn't enough time, like they weren't able to finish everything out, so they couldn't go back and try to iron things. If what is said was true, trying to play the game when it first came out was pretty much impossible. The game is only really runnable now because of fan patches that they have been doing for 15 years. I'm not joking. Before I streamed, I got the fan patch. They're on fan patch 10.3 and the last one was done in February. Wow! They can't fix all the bugs, like in Foo Syndicate, or the fact that the latter half of the game sucks. The last half of the game, it is literally just mow down as much dudes as you can. Sometimes too many dudes. It was pretty difficult, to be honest, to get through the end game, and not like a good satisfying difficulty. It was just frustratingly difficult because it was not like anything else in the rest of the game. I actually used console codes because I was just done and I did not want to deal with all of this shit. Another kind of nitpick that I have that's more of I think it's like an older games kind of thing, is that there's not enough auto saves or soft saves for when I die, because sometimes I'll just get really, really into a game, right? And I'll die and I'll have to go back 20 to 30 minutes, and that's the most frustrating thing I can ever think of. And I don't know if it's because I am a spoiled babu and I love my auto saves, but I hate it. You do have the option to do a quick save, but I don't ever remember to do it. So I spent a lot of times backtracking because I died. We're going to do a rapid fire list of 10 things that I liked and 10 things that I didn't like about the game, and then we will go with our conclusion. Ready, set, go. Taxi driver is one of my favorite characters because he's always where I need it to be, and he has a very amazing voice. The voice of the Tresemme that you fight twice has the voice of fucking butter. I really like the quest about the bad guys and giving diseases to the homeless people, because vampires can be carriers of diseases. How neat. Desert Eagle is my favorite fucking weapon. I really, really like the wibbly wobbly cables. I don't know if that would be considered a feature or not a good graphical thing, but I really like that. I love all the voice actors in this game, bar a couple of them that I think were patch update only. I really like the Anarchs, every single one of them. 10 out of 10, give me more Anarchs. Jack is literally the best character of the game, and is also Jake the dog in Adventure Time. Haha! I like the option to use a severed arm is one of the weapons that I can use to actually kill someone. Speaking of the severed arm, I really love that one mission where the guy was actually a serial killer because he liked prosthetics. And lastly, I really like all of the stereotypes of the game because it doesn't seem like they're stereotyping to be stereotypes. I think they were trying to stereotype in order to do something fancy. There's a way to do it, subvert expectations or something, I don't know. But they did it, and I noticed. Good job. Why are the Claw Brothers so hard? Oh my god. Why is Ming a slug Cthulhu monster? Why in Ming's boss fight, the only way you can really defeat her is by crouching near our boy Buddha and shooting at her? Why is there not more opportunities to make money? I really hate every single time mission of the game. That includes the werewolf one, and every single time I had to run away from an explosion. Why was I not given more disciplines? Did I play the game wrong and I just didn't get more Malkavian disciplines? Should I have tried to put more things into Dementia and other things? Anyway, I didn't get enough Malkavian craziness. Why are some of the sneaking sections literally hard as balls to get through? Oh my gosh, the Foo Syndicate is bugged and you can't save inside of the goddamn Foo Syndicate without breaking some of the mechanics inside of it. Ah! I hated every single outfit of the Malkavians. I wish I could have picked something that had better clothes, or I could have chose clothes. I wish I could have chose clothes. Guys, why wasn't there a clothing shop? I hate that there's no mechanic that stops you from killing someone feeding on someone until right before you kill them. Like, I know that you press and hold X and then let go of F to stop feeding, or you can press F real quick and then press F again in order to stop feeding. But I wish there was an option that would make you choose whether or not you'd kill someone, because sometimes those anemic goddamn hobos are just so draining. In conclusion, Vampires the Masquerades could have been an extremely amazing, well-done game if they were given about like a year or two more of development time. I am so thankful for all of the fans that know how to code that make patches for this game, because first, it makes the game playable, and I'm sure they fixed so many things that would have bothered me even more. So, like, thanks for that. There's gonna be a second game. Apparently it's a sequel because Paradox Games, I think that's the right name, they got the rights to Vampire the Masquerade games, I guess. Which means the second one, it better be good. I find a lot of the things in this game extremely endearing, and that's why I think it's gonna hold a very special place in my heart. Do I think it's the best RPG I've ever played? No, I can think of a couple of them that I personally think are better. But do I think it was really good? Yeah, I see a lot of things that could have made it great, but hindsight is always 20/20. I am so glad that I actually sat down and played this game. Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines may not be the best game I've ever played, but I'm still glad I played it. There's not many games that you can go around being a vampire and sucking the blood out of dudes. So, I mean, that's cool. You know what's really weird about vampires? There's so much bad, right? There is bad. But the good aspects of this game really outweigh the bad aspects of this game, which has not really happened to me before. It just makes me sad. Just so, like, there's a little part of my heart that aches so much. I just wish that the developers were given more time to complete this game. It really could have been something like mind-blowingly special, especially for the time. But it doesn't matter how much my heart aches. It's a buggy game that needs fan patches to run well. I don't know. I didn't try running it in vanilla. I think I tried once and then something went wrong and I just didn't try. But I'm so glad that fans went by and fixed this game up and slapped some band-aids on it. The final question that I have is this game as great as every fan of Vampire the Masquerade would have you think? Personally, I don't really think it's as great as everyone says, but I definitely wasn't let down by anything of the game. I was sufficiently warned that the end game was bad and blah blah blah, but there are other games that have connected with me more personally that I like more than Vampires. It is a great game in order for you to be the edge boy you've always wanted to be and drink them rat Capri Suns. And hey, that's all I could have ever asked for. Fucking yeah. And that was my review of Vampire the Masquerade. I hope you liked it. I'm not a reviewist, I just have opinions, so take everything that I say with a grain of salt. Here's a heart just for you. Save for later. Use her now, I don't really care. It's your heart, you do you. If you want to watch me play games, I stream on Twitch. And if you miss any of the games, there's also an archive channel where you can watch all the previous streams since I think Spider-Man's the first thing that I streamed that I started doing the archive channel for. If you missed out and you want to watch it, head your beautiful patootie over there. Hey, I have Patreons. If you want to be a Patreon and get stickers sent to you, go ahead and check it out. Throw money at me so I can do this more often. Hey. See you later, huh? Bye. I hope that they liked that I dressed up as a vampire for this. Put on makeup. Because vampires are sexy and obviously they all wear makeup.